Hey everybody, welcome back to the Quest for the Bestest. It's the podcast from Backlot Banter where we review every single Best Picture nominee. And we got one more to presuppose. We're like Minority Report here, predicting what movies are going to be nominated. And today, we're talking about the Joachim Trier film, Sentimental Value. You might have heard about this one when it came out, starring Renate Reinsve, Stellan Skarsgård, and Inga Ibsdotter Lilius,
And Elle Fanning.
And Elle Fanning. Well, you see, you get the two pieces of me. You got the Texas piece and you got the Norwegian piece. There you go. Excited to talk about this one. Quickly, we'll remind you about what we did last time because, we talked about Frankenstein. And we had fun things to say about it, although we spent the majority of the runtime of the review dogging on the movie and the Netflix-isms of it. So it got a 5.7, putting it at spot number 4 on the list. But today, maybe it has a redeeming chance. Frankenstein does to, I don't know, not be at the bottom. Or maybe it will stay at the bottom, depending on where Sentimental Value ends up. Of course, this is how the list math works. Year in and year out, it's the same. We don't change it up these days. Okay, well, let's just go right into it. Abram, will you deliver us unto a promised comment?
Of course. I'll deliver it unto you right now from a review of Sinners. Jay Galindo 46, back with my favorite Kermit the Frog profile picture, and has the following to say about our review of Sinners. This movie is fucking incredible, and watching you guys talk about it just makes me want to rewatch it instantly. It looks and sounds incredible. The cast is fantastic. I hope it takes home a few Oscars. And then as an addendum, I also want to shout out the Cat and Deeds comment, also on Sinners, who simply writes, "Winner, winner, chicken sinner."
Very nice. Very nice.
Great. Both very good. Both
Excellent.
very good.
We got two loud and proud regulars back here in the comment section, so appreciate that. If you, dear viewer, have any thoughts or issues or opinions about what we talk about here on this episode or any other episode, feel free to write them down.
Feel free to opine those opinions.
Write a little bit of a diatribe in the comments, mayhaps.
Oh.
If you have any grievances, you can air them as well. That's another thing you can do in the comment section.
Very good to do that in the comments. Not just on our videos,
We don't need to
too,
instruct people to complain in comment sections.
No, they did plenty of that.
I will
It's
instruct
human
them.
nature at this point.
Briefly hop into the Discord. We got the link in the description if you want to chat with fellow movie lovers on a more regular basis than the show is uploaded. But let's not waste any more time. Let's get right into it. Tanner, Sentimental Value. What's the plot of this movie?
Sure. Okay. Well, Sentimental Value is a contemporarily set in Norway. It concerns a family, the patriarch of the what is their name? The Borgs. That's right.
Yeah.
The Borg family is the patriarch. Gustav is
Look
a
out, Jean-Luc.
famous...
Get away, Jean-Luc.
Very good. The Borg Empire.
Yes.
Gustav is a famous film director, though he is getting up there in age. He is portrayed by Stellan Skarsgård, of course. And then he has two adult daughters, Agnes and Nora, whom the film largely revolves around, they are in their 30s and have basically come to terms with his absence in their adolescence. But he comes back into their life after their mother dies with this project in hand, supposedly his final film that he wants to make that is seemingly about his mother, but he insists that it is not. In fact, he wants to cast his daughter Nora in the film. He insists that it is about her as well, that she is perfect for the part, actually, more accurately. And she rejects him, and it's a family drama about what roles we play and how we have coped with things that we in our past that maybe fully haven't healed.
Yes, and maybe about a lot more because this is a pretty wide-reaching film. Let's start right off. I want to get maybe one of my favorite commenters on movies in general. Tucker, what did you think about this? This
That's
film?
me. I'm the favorite. Oh, okay.
About movies in general.
Don't let it go to my head. Don't let it go to my head. I think this is a pretty good movie. I'm interested to sort of get into the depth that the movie has. Because I think that there are a lot of things that it is touching on, but I'm not quite sure personally how I feel they came together. But hey, that's what a Quest conversation is for, I guess. But great performances, and I think the thing that really sells this for me as something a little bit extra when it comes to it being a drama, it's a family drama film, is that it does have this extra element of a film being filmed and it being about the characters that are involved in 10 different ways. They all feel different ways about it. And that's not really something you see very often. And it made me think quite a bit about uh, filmmaking and how collaborative it is, and how it can also be something that's very personal. When we're watching the characters try to like read into the writing a little bit more, or when we see Gustav trying to cast his family members and that evoking emotions, those perspectives on how the art and the creation of the art impacts the people and their emotions, I think, is really what fascinates me most about this movie. And it's not something you see very often. I remember thinking kind of similarly about the recent movie Jay Kelly with George Clooney, that is also about how family and filmmaking intersect and how the two can kind of be at odds with one another. But I think this gets a little bit deeper into it because it offers a number of perspectives. Because, well, it is, I would say that Renate Reinsve's character is like the protagonist or the main character. It's very well divided, I think, between her and the additional her sister and her father, and then Elle Fanning is thrown in the mix for good measure, which that always bumps it up about 5 or 7 stars for me.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm a fan of it, and I thought it was interesting, but I wasn't blown away, and I think I was maybe expecting to be, but we'll see by the end of this conversation how I feel.
Abram, you're up next. What'd you think?
I thought it was absolutely wonderful. I don't want to go too long because I have so many different things to say about the movie, but I was talking with a friend of mine earlier who about the film, and we're just sort of really talking about the space it leaves for interpretation, and the space it leaves for you to try and complete the story yourself with the pieces of information that we have about these characters. I think it is a wonderfully vague movie. And I especially felt that in the ending sequence, which we went back and forth about for quite a while on. I just, a sign of a drama like this working for me so well is when I'm like so endeared to the characters that I don't even really feel like I'm watching a movie so much as I'm just have a window into their life. And I found myself just so captivated by the way that particularly Stellan Skarsgård's character of Gustav is characterized, because we see him in all these different situations that expose different parts of his person that he can't fully put together when he needs to, when he's around his daughters. And I think that the way we get these very hard-edged characters makes it really satisfying to try to slot them together. But I'm already saying so much because I just have so much to say about how the characters relate and are performed. But yeah, I found it really moving.
Yeah. Tanner, you get to hold your thoughts because I'm going next. I echo a lot of what you say, Abram. I think that I don't know if I'm like, this is a stunning movie, but I think this is a very good movie. And I think that it is great antidote to this stupid Netflix filmmaking. This is a movie that demands you watch it and pay attention, or else you will get to the end and be like, well, I don't know what happened. Like, if you're not watching and paying attention to this movie, it will just every detail and every little bit of goodness is going to pass you right by. And I appreciate that a lot. That's a very difficult thing to do as a filmmaker. And so, yeah, it's so subtle. I get to bring it back. I mean, this movie's full of subtleism. We might have been away for that for a year, perhaps, but the things where we, not only, and I'm just going to kind of focus in on this part for my intro statement here, but not only do we have moments where I'm like wondering about, what the character is thinking on the head, but we get, because it's about filmmaking and acting and art, we get to go a level deeper, and we get to have the characters themselves prompt us, the audience members. Skarsgård almost winks and nods at the camera 2 or 3 times, being like, well, you, dear viewer, need to think that for yourself. And I'm not going to tell you what is going on in this movie because it's more enjoyable and more personal. And all these things about art, we got to bring your own experience to it. And I felt myself bringing my own experience, pretty different from what's in this movie, but thinking about my family and all this thing. And so, yeah, I found it enjoyable watching the theater, very, very touching at the moments. The burn was pretty slow. I think I spent about a third of the movie being a little bored and a little waiting for something to happen. And then it really does happen at the climax, right at the end of the second act. We're really firing on all cylinders, and it's like like you say, these characters are rough and they're people, and they have a lot to think about in ways in which they succeed and in ways in which they fail, like literally and emotionally and internally and according to themselves. And so there's just a lot of meat here to think about. And yet
You always think about meat, buddy.
yeah, you know me. I don't want to move to Norway because of this movie. Like, you would think that you'd watch a Trier film and it would be, picturesque. It's beautiful, right? We got beautiful Norwegian summers and this nice apartments, and it looks good. But they're like, the Norwegians are so void of real problems in their life that and that the 7 months of darkness a year creates a lot of problems inside their heads, which is what the movie is largely about. So, not so hot on living in Norway, pretty hot on this movie.
Sure. Yeah, I think it is an excellent film. I was excited to rewatch it, especially, and I think it has cemented a number of things for me about it. Namely, I think I agree with a lot of the thematic points and points of interest and openings for interpretation that Trier leaves. But namely for me, it is that I think Stellan Skarsgård gives one of my favorite performances, at least of 2025. I was going to ask as an open-ended question at some point, who we all think is the best performance of the film.
That's a good one.
That is packed with, brimming with excellent performances from 3-4 people that in the sort of the main cast list. But I'm staking down Stellan as my answer. I think he is truly excellent in embodying, if I can just talk about his character for a moment, just a bastard, just a real
He's a shyster.
No, hey, far be it from me to like generation warfare on Quest for the Bestest. God knows we get enough of that. But like,
Tanner's loaded the artillery gun.
I am kind of drilling into like some core, it seems, things about boomers, especially boomer men. But we tend to think of that in an American lens, but like, no, he extrapolates it out to be like, no, there is something about men who grew up in this era, who grew up, especially into a filmmaker, coming out of his background and everything like that, with adult daughters, with running away from his family and everything like that. There's something core about that that informs basically everything that he does, but it also doesn't feel pigeonholed. I called him a bastard, but like, he has moments, he has sequences, he has perhaps entire stretches where you're like, oh, he has softened, and I am getting an insight into his character beyond the walls that he has thrown up as a 70-year-old man, sort of reckoning with his own mortality and artistic mortality as well.
Whoa.
Tucker, what kind of question do you want to throw to us? Not what kind, just throw us a question to get started here.
I think that for me, on like an artistic level, the most interesting thing I find about Sentimental Value is this recurring element of these interstitial shot sequences of the past and of these films and of the home and generations of people existing in this space, and we're able to get a glimpse into the lives of a number of characters that we never really meet. We get a little bit of Gustav's mother. We get a little bit of his aunt. We get the girls when they're children, or the daughters when they're children, and these elements are also they're very light. To me, it's almost as if the film is stopping and like taking a deep breath before it like injects you back into like serious drama, because they're presented in this like ethereal kind of dreamlike way of just like the shots kind of like meld into one another and we're crossing between time periods and all this stuff, and I'm like, oh, okay, like the context of this home and what it's meant to these generations of people, that idea of intercutting that and editing it does give this film a sense of place in a way that I don't think many movies really attempt to have, because while we don't spend a lot of the movie inside this home, we're out places, we're in other people's houses, we're in the theater, there's a lot of traveling. The Gustav Borg's home is, or the family home, the Borg estate, is a really key part to insight into where this movie is about the histories that we all hold in our heads. This movie is very concerned with, and the characters are all very concerned with things that happened a long time ago, and not being able to, either not wanting to or not being able to realize they haven't moved past them. And so I think giving us this house where all of them have such interesting memories and continually reflecting back on it and seeing these stories that have been told over the course of time in this one place, and that each of them are kind of drawing on anytime they're interacting with another family member. They're like, all this weight is like situated on them, on their shoulders as they're interacting. And I like those moments quite a bit, especially as the movie opens and kind of gives this narration of here's the home, and here's kind of like, you know, the context for the greater Borg lineage. I thought that was a really interesting element of the movie that framed things differently.
This was a nice observation, but where's your question?
Fucking talk about the house. I don't know, man. You guys think of the house?
That's not a question. We'll take it. We'll take it. No, yeah. I mean, we open on this sort of narration, who is like a third party sort of omniscient narrator across the entire film, who is
that peeks in every once in a while, just
every once in a while, who, you know, is recounting this essay that Nora wrote when she was like a young girl, about she was imagining that she was her house. She was the house. And, you know, what its feelings were about the family, sort of like a early point of therapy for Nora, who is having to put up with her mother and father fighting and ultimately getting a divorce and being estranged. And I really glommed onto that this time around, about how this opening narration is laying the groundwork for Nora's state of mind. That she says, I think the house probably likes being full. I.e., I like when the house is full, and I like when, you know, all my family is here, and it's exciting, and people are moving about and talking to one another, and me and my sister get to run around and play.
Tanner, this movie has a here quality to it.
Certainly does, and then of course we do get the jumps back in time. But of course, that narration also caps off with a bit of like a warning, like a seed of doubt about the literal foundation of the family home that has a flaw in it, that was discovered soon after.
There's a lot of elements of this movie that are subtle. Well,
yes,
not every element of this movie.
I know writers who use subtlety, and they're fucking cowards. That's what Joachim Trier and Eric Vogt have to say about that, Tucker. But no, I think it lays a lot of good groundwork, and then we return to it a number of times in different ways that are really, really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the house, just like opening, it sets it up as this character that we then we're enraptured in. I think, you know, it's a little cliche to be like the house is a character, but it is, you know. And the ways in, I just tie this basically as this beginning and the end of the movie, in which we're filming after we've kind of sort of resolved or begun our way to resolving the family issues, and we're filming this oneer that is like the crux of the movie that Gustav is trying to make. And we're not filming it in the house, actually. We're filming it in a soundstage, in a recreation of the house. And yeah, I mean, I think that these sequences and like flashing back, we have our story with the Gustav's mother being taken by the
Karen,
Nazis,
yes.
Karen being taken away, and the effects that has had on the family. Maybe that's one of the cracks that they discover, you know, shortly after it was made. Yes, I really enjoy the house in this. It's also just a beautiful piece of architecture, and they photograph it very lovely. Yes.
Yeah, I think that the home works so well because we were mentioning earlier the way that this film is obviously very concerned with the process of filmmaking here. And one thing that we learn in this moment when Gustav is talking to his producer friend and they're discussing whether or not they're too old to be making movies. The producer is mentioning to Gustav about how perhaps your body of work has touched on the same themes as this movie, but never like this, never so personally. And I think that the way that this movie is concerned with what it really practically means to put yourself in your art is very interesting.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of why we are so concerned with the house, because the house is this like this temple to the past and the future of the Borg family. And it lives that way in Gustav's mind, and it functions that way in the narrative that he's trying to put together. Um, and so I think that there's almost this like scarily intimate sense that you have watching this movie, where you are watching this group of people in these places that belong so completely to them. And so I actually find it quite jarring in a way when we see at the end of the film, we see Gustav working in this recreation on the soundstage, because we've spent so long seeing him and his children and his parents belonging in this space.
Now I have a question.
Yeah.
Now this is a question, since we're basically talking the bookends of the film. We're jumping around. We're not going through it methodically by any means. The one lasting question that I have regarding the house, because I do love that ending and how it is, a recreation, a neutral site for Gustav and Nora to basically work out their issues. Basically, if we can sort of interpret Gustav's method of filmmaking in that way. Before that, we see the house getting a millennial whitewash minimalism makeover. And both times that I've seen the film now, I'm like, what is the deal with that? What is, is it,
But it's also not the first time that we see the house get a makeover. Because after
right.
Gustav's aunt passes away and the estate gets passed to him, he goes to town on that house.
That's true. He does.
He rips down all this stuff. And so I think that's, to me, you frame it through the sort of millennial whitewashing. I felt like very IKEA, very
definitely.
It was very Scandinavian.
Clean corners.
That's very true.
Yeah. I think it's, to me, because it's parallel to the first time that Gustav remodeled that house, it's that he's moving on to a new chapter of his life.
Sure.
And that space is a place that obviously means a lot to him, and that he's been given this chance once again in his life to wipe the slate clean and redesign it in an image that is more reflective of the current reality that he lives in. Because one of the things that we see so much about that the house between the sort of wake of their mother and that remodeling is that every little corner and bump and vase and shelf has some sort of memory. And so I think it's him wiping the slate. I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to get
the movie. They do
say it.
They do.
I'm not going to give you the satisfaction though. Him sort of wiping the slate clean and being like, all right, we're moving forward with a freshly remodeled Borg estate.
Well, we don't know.
Is it him though, or because or did he sell the house?
It's not him doing the remodel.
Yeah, it's contractors doing the remodel, and it isn't said why, or
we know that he wants to sell it.
Yeah, and so, we might reason to stand that the choice of having this very millennial, very minimalist.
One thing
design,
though, I think he wants to sell it before they start actively working on the film, and he's got Elle Fanning in there, and he's reconnecting with daughters. I don't think he sells the house personally.
I don't know. It's not said.
Because I think reconnecting with his family is the sort of arc of this movie.
But here's what's interesting:
reconnect with the house as well.
I don't think he reconnects with his family by the end of the movie. And this is part of.
Yeah, we should probably hit this. This is the key point.
So part of what's so interesting to me about the ending of this soundstage environment is that there's this through line in the movie that Gustav does not like theater. Theater is not interesting to him. And obviously what we have at the end of the film is not theater.
And it's important that Nora is his theater actor daughter.
Yes. And so what we have in this cut up cross section of the house is not theater. Obviously, they're on a film soundstage, but there is a degree of theater to that performance that she's putting on than if they were filming this whole thing in the house. What I think is interesting about the end of the movie is the way that there is this like tenuous partnership that we have forming between Nora and her father.
Mm-hmm.
One thing we come to learn is that Agnes felt like the center of the universe when she was in her father's film.
Mm-hmm.
And so is Nora truly reconnecting to Gustav, or has he simply become the center of his universe again in some way because of this project? I love how this final scene is framed because we see people running around. We've wrapped the shot. We're running to get Nora some water. We're resetting for the next shot. We're looking over the tape. We're taking our headphones off. The whole crew is getting reset. And all these people are running around, and we just have this beautiful framing of distance between Nora and Gustav, and the camera is watching them both try to bridge this gap after spending the whole film where these characters are talking through each other. But what I think is so intriguing about the ending is that because we know Gustav treats the people in his film differently than he does in his family life, and because these characters are still having trouble communicating, it's not so simple in my view as because she took that role, their relationship is healing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And for me, it goes even farther because what is the scene that we're talking about? It's a very, I mean, we are getting real into the weeds on the ending of the movie, but for me, it's Agnes that really pulls this one through and ties kind of the knot on our character relationships to each other, both in that the sisters talking in this extreme, this is like the best scene in the movie, I think, when they're on the bed together and they're really going back and forth with the memories of their childhood, but it's because they read the script, and the script is like, how does our father, who was absent, know that Nora was suicidally depressed and attempted suicide in some time prior in their history, and that Agnes was the one that helped her out of that. And they kind of have this, this is, I just love this screenwriting moment where they come together and they're like, they don't really realize how they actually helped each other. And then they just articulate it, and they're like, I was there when we were teenagers. I mean, you made me feel safe. Agnes is saying this to Nora. You made me feel safe. You made sure I got to school. We had food. And then, it's the unspoken thing, and it's kind of hinted at less because this is more the adult topic, but that like Nora is, you were there, you got me out of there, you saw me go through this very challenging point in our life. And because we've set up what this shot is with Elle Fanning's character, this is the planting and the payoff of the movie, of the ending. We know what this oneer is. We know the intention behind it. We know the blocking of it. We know that it ends in the actual suicide of the mother character, which our sisters read as the suicide of Nora. When we get to the end of watching this one take happen, we watch it happen, and like as I'm looking, like, oh wait, we're in a stage. There's a blue screen outside the window. Things look different. This is not quite the right. Oh, and then it's okay. We're shooting the movie. And then the door shuts, and in classic, we just let it sit there, and like it's completely silent. Nothing happens. We don't hear what we're supposed to hear in the movie, which is the thing, the stool falling over. And instead, they'll add that in post. This is a movie. But what we do see is then we cut into that room, and Nora's still there. And I think that there's an implication of her persistence and her having not killed herself at this point in the film. And yes, you say, Abram, that the framing is that final shot there after we pull back on the other side of the door is super beautiful, and we get that distance between the father and the daughter. And it seems to me that this is like the process of renewing a relationship, or the process of coming together. But for me, like I think the real important thing is this kind of like, in the reality, the real ending that Gustav has written is that his daughter is still there in a way that his mother chose not to be. He chose to not be part of their life, but his mother chose to end her life. And I think that these kind of ideas of absence versus suicide is a important distinction that we're meant to think about. And like, the filmmaking, what I think about the filmmaking aspect of it, it's just in service of getting to these kind of like performance as therapy, art as therapy. Do you need therapy, or do you need to just go and act? Or does the acting create torment in your head that makes your life worse? These questions.
Which is all ironic because their mother was a therapist, but they are far more concerned with processing stuff and being obsessed with their relationship with their father rather than their mother. Tucker, you had stuff that you wanted to say about this ending, though.
Yeah. So first off, I just pulled up the movie and I went to the part where it's the second demolition.
Yep.
I think that might be Stellan Skarsgård in a baseball cap.
They never show his face clearly, which is why
he looks a lot like Stellan Skarsgård. It's very possible that it's not him.
Are we Norway racist? Are we white people racist? We don't know.
I think the implication of the toolbox being there is it's the contractor from that.
That's kind of my thing too. Is that like, is 70-year-old Gustav Borg going to be remodeling his own house?
Bang.
Yeah, I don't know. It could be.
I think maybe that was brought to my mind because we saw him do it earlier.
Friend of the show, Palme d'Or winning
it's at least intended to be a parallel. Whether
true.
I mean, frankly, that's a very big difference if he's the one doing the remodeling or not. But regardless, here's what I thought when I finished the movie. And I think this is part of why I wasn't as floored by it as I thought it would be. Is I personally think that not only that last sequence of making the ending of the film, the in-universe film, but also the scenes leading up to it. The first thought in my mind as like the credits started rolling, like, wow, that wrapped up really cleanly. And so I read a lot of sort of the last two sections of this film as them very much coming to understand each other and very much reconciling in their distanced way, in their way that they are using the art that has been sort of passed between them and that they understand the like passion of each other for to understand the thought process of the other people. They don't actually go to therapy, but they use the art as therapy. And the moments in which the sisters sort of come to understand their father and the intent that he has and the care that he does have for them through the script that they read. And they're both crying at this because, I mean, I read that scene especially of Renate Reinsve or Nora at the table reading the script and crying as her coming to understand her father and really like seeing that he does have this care, even if he doesn't show it very well. And then the next scene, we see him like sort of passed out on the grass, and then he's in the hospital, and the two of them show up to check on him. He's asleep. They're being very like careful with him and caring up for him. And then they hear his like jokes, and that reminds them of their childhood, and they're like looking at each other and smiling. I'm like, I think they did it. Or at least they're working towards it enough to where I really see a lot of this as that reconciliation. And that maybe that's part of why I didn't connect to it so well. As I'm like, yeah, this is pretty clean. This tied together with a nice little bow, and I really wasn't expecting it to.
So my whole take on this is, and I do share a more hopeful sort of read of this ending. Is kind of hinges on like you can't teach an old dog new tricks.
Yeah.
We talk about the hospital thing, and like 70-year-old Gustav Borg is hitting on the nurse that is half his age or whatever. And Nora especially is Agnes in that hospital scene as well? She is out there.
Yes.
They sort of like just sort of smirk and are like, this fucking guy. Like we were all concerned that he was dead, and here we walk in on him hitting on the nurse or whatever. But again, I used the term earlier, but I do kind of view that set, the recreation of the home, or a recreation of the home. It doesn't look one-to-one to me, per se. I think there are differences in the set of the house. Is a neutral site of sorts. I mean, it is Gustav giving up the ghost on shooting it in the house. It's sort of him giving up some of his artistic dead set lines that he's like, that we have to do it this way. It's going to be done this way. It is. I think there's another example of that actually. If you remember in the script, the son comes back to retrieve his flag. But in the actual scene that they shoot, he comes back for his cell phone.
It's mobile.
It's kind of handy.
It's mobile. Yes. Which seems to me again like Gustav giving in. Norwegian, bro. It's to me Gustav giving in to a little bit of the modernism that he's letting seep into his movie. It's not a little boy coming back for his patriotic flag for Norwegian 4th of July or whatever. He's coming back for his cell phone that he knows that his grandson is on all the time. But
This
no,
is a kids be on their phone movie. Boys.
Exactly, it really is. It really is. But no, I think it is a neutral site for Nora and Gustav, and Nora especially, having now known that her father on some level was aware of her emotional struggles, her depression, and everything, being like, I am 35 years old or whatever. I now have this information about what my father knew about me when I was younger, and I'm able to come into a understanding with him. This is how my 70-year-old, more fucked up than he will admit, father can process and spend time with his family. It's not healthy, but I am old enough and now mature enough and have an understanding of his inner workings enough to share in that with him, and maybe we can both get some processing out of this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I especially agree because of that last look that they share before they're like standing on stage together. I mean, that's a great look from both of them.
Yeah.
I especially love the like almost like double take grin that Stellan Skarsgård gives as he like locks eyes with his daughter, and he like he's not used to smiling at his daughters, but you can see him like falter in his smile for a second, and then truly give into it as he, I think, realizes that they've made this connection. I think that moment is really really excellent.
It's the pride of the daughter, the pride of all the work she's put in as an actor, like paying off the kind of the working together, and yes, it's a great moment. Unless you got some, Abram, you have something? Go for it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a really arresting moment of filmmaking where we have this close shot that begins as Skarsgård's face, and then we sweep shadow across it, and it becomes Nora, and we continue to revolve the shadow across this shot.
Agnes too.
Sure.
Yeah, and we are building this idea that they share something here, and I think that one of the performance notes that I really love from Skarsgård is the way that he tries to look at Elle Fanning the way he at the end of the film looks at Nora. Because there's the monologue that takes place somewhere in the screenplay about praying and about wanting a home.
Yeah.
And
which we, of course, get to hear said in English and then said in Norwegian, performed by Rachel Kemp and then performed by Nora Borg. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's this really incredibly acted scene when we're seeing it for the first time in English, and you can kind of feel as an audience member that Elle Fanning is delivering these lines in a way that isn't quite right.
This is what is so incredible about Elle Fanning's performance, is that she's playing an actor who is not wrong, or who is not a bad actor, but who is not right for the part that we are hearing.
Yeah, she's playing this, and it's a little bit off. The emotional charges are a little bit miscalibrated, and you'll see Skarsgård's eyes drop to the floor, drop to the table, and then for a second there'll be a note in her delivery of a word, and he'll look back up, and they'll have that second where they're making contact.
Yeah,
and then she loses it, he loses it, and I think that the film is so good at putting Elle Fanning, putting Stellan Skarsgård in these situations to illustrate that they don't have that enmeshing that he has with his daughters. But what makes his character so interesting to me is that even though they're not synchronized like that, he can show Elle Fanning a type of fatherly spirit and comfort that he can't show his daughters.
Yeah.
And so I think that's very interesting.
I like that a lot. I agree. And I think that that's why Elle Fanning's such a fascinating part of this film, is that I think the reason why he acts so differently is because he knows that his daughters would not be receptive to that. And he wants to give it, and he finds someone who looks up to him and frankly respects him a lot more than his daughters do, and craves that paternal like care. She wants to she doesn't want to disappoint him. She wants him to praise her, Elle Fanning's character. And so these moments where she is very, very vulnerable as an actress with her director, and he is also very caring and very much is understands her and gives her respect on an equal level.
Except Except
Yes.
he can't get into what the script is with her. She asks him over and over about like, like, I need you to tell me about you. This is about you and about your family. I need you to tell me. And he's like, nah. He's like,
What do you think?
No.
He's like, what do you think? What do you, he just
The script is
deflects.
not about me.
It is not about me. It is not. And
That
then
doesn't
he's
sound
even
like
like, it's not about
Skarsgård at all.
my mother. And it's like, well, his deflection there is unsatisfying. That's like the part that his daughters do have that Elle Fanning
Yes.
doesn't have. And he could deflect all he wanted to his daughters and they're going to see right through it.
Yeah, 100%. That like, she ends up being like, I think a surrogate daughter for him in a way that softens him and allows him to give that paternal love that, because of his being a absentee father and being a very brash person, that he has not been able to give to his daughters for presumably 30 years or something like that. And I like that she does help soften him, because I think there's a less nuanced version of this movie where Rachel is like, is just like kind of an airhead, or just like is just like a stuck-up actress, and there's more of a. I was really expecting, yeah, not French,
not French, but
but where, because I was really expecting from the moment Elle Fanning showed up, because I didn't know how she fit into this picture. She doesn't show up until about 30 plus minutes into the movie, or something like that. I was expecting the other shoe to drop, and for there to be this like, I mean, ostensibly like a cat fight between the two two daughters of like, I was like, like expecting
that, but we don't get it.
No, we never get it. And actually, the only moment that they ever do share together, they're quite cordial to one another. And
but it's still awkward and weird. They know that they're both like,
especially as Elle Fanning has Nora's haircut when they're together, and like, she obviously knows that because we see her. Well, the first time we see her with that hair is when she's looking at Nora's Instagram or whatever. So like, it's the beginning of Rachel especially picking up like, I am walking into the middle of something here that I shouldn't be in the middle of.
Yes,
but she's a much more nuanced and believable character than I think I was expecting going into this. I was expecting she was going to be like the pebble in their shoe, but she is an awkward but a well-meaning part of this interesting dynamic of people, and like that's one of the like really nuanced parts of the movie that I was impressed by.
I really want to talk more about Nora, but I just want to toss one thing into the hat about Gustav, in that I find it very interesting that we're kind of affirmed that he treats, we've already mentioned this, but I think it's worth specifically noting that he treats the filmmaking partners kind of the same as the family. Like he goes to talk with Peter, and he's like, I'm so sorry. I never reach out when we're not on a project together. But for the men, and as we were talking about the men of this generation, they're just kind of like, Peter's like, yeah, I'm like that too, man. I'm sorry. It's okay. We're here now. And like, yeah. But then it's surprising to Gustav, the changes and the degradation of Peter's body. He's like, very,
I love the look that he gives when Peter stands up and he grabs the cane or whatever, and as he's watching him like walk up the steps to the study or whatever. Like, it is this guy's not going to be able to do what I want him to do.
Yeah, like he's not physically up to
they're talking about a handheld shot.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
He's like,
I'm just thinking about Hoyt Van Hoyt turning his spine 45 degrees, with that.
Exactly. Like IMAX. It's that to me. And there's also earlier when we walk up and he's on the recliner next to the pool or whatever, and it's another shared boomer grandpa / dad moment when he's like, oh yeah, my son doesn't come to visit me anymore, but who I really feel bad for, he's just hurting his grandkids by not taking them here. It's like, that's such a fucking shitty boomer dad thing to do. Is like, listen, you can hate me all you want, but you're really having a negative impact on my grandkids.
Yeah, but he had a pool. We didn't consider that.
That's true.
Grandkids love the pool.
Mm-hmm. There's a line.
Sure, I've seen many pictures of Abram in his grandparents' pool.
I don't know how I've seen photos of it, but it's true.
You've said, how the hell else would I have seen them?
Long
There's
telescope.
a picture of you like with like a little like pool thingies, and you're like, I think your girlfriend took it. It's funny. I love that picture. think about it a lot.
He thinks about it a lot.
There's a line in that scene that I love because Peter is projecting a different ableness than he has because he's talking about how I'm not feeling much handheld for this movie. It's all about the dolly,
It's dolly
and all
and
about the
tripod.
tripod. And I feel like this they share this long silent look when Skarsgård is unable to simply say what he means, which is
he's like,
yeah, you don't have it.
We gotta shop it around. Netflix has a say, you know.
Crazy.
And I think that is such an interesting moment to give Skarsgård as a performer because the kind of the shock that registers on his face as he's sort of timidly unable to not only tell his friend what he really means, but sort of reckon with what his friend's status means for himself as an older man. And so in that moment, we see this inability to communicate, but it's wrapped not so much in this bullheaded abrasion that we see at other points when he's talking to his children, but this like soft and like almost scared sympathy he has for this friend who doesn't have much time in the film, but I think is also quite powerful in the look he gives back when he kind of.
And who's the cinematographer at the end of the movie?
Bullshit me, yeah.
Who's the cinematographer?
It's Peter.
It's Peter.
It's him. He's back.
Yeah. He's back. They figured it out.
He's in it.
But I think that's another good example of how, and I don't know how you guys feel about this, but my immediate thought as the movie was closing, I'm like, this is quite a nice bow put on this movie that up to this point I felt was a little bit more tumultuous. Like especially having Peter there, I'm like, okay, well, he really has made attempts to reconnect with basically everyone that we've seen him wrong in the movie.
I got a question for you, Tucker, based on that. For you, does it feel like a criticism or like an issue with the movie that it wraps up nicely in this way?
I think kind of. I don't think I would have thought about it if I didn't think it was an issue. Because I think the movie presents so many conversations and uncomfortable situations where there isn't necessarily a right answer to things, where it is very much based on this baggage that each of the people are coming into it. Everyone is, I think the best part of this movie acting wise, and this goes for basically everyone, or especially the three of Borg characters, is that they always are. They're almost never saying what they mean or what they're thinking. And it has a sort of like this nuance and like hidden layers to things. And so to have the ending of the movie be, from my reading, that he's reconciled with his daughters, that his daughters understand him, that his old friend has come back, that he's connecting with his grandson in a way that we, I think, see that his grandson actually is quite receptive to, or surprisingly so. It felt
love
a
to see
little
a
bit
young
out of
filmmaker
character.
getting his inspo. We love to see.
Right.
That was a great. I just little bow tie scene, cute, sweet, lovely with when they're with the funny effects on the old iPhone.
Yes.
It's like we really do actually know how to make a movie here because we're showing off a little bit more too.
Yeah, but I think my point is that it felt a little Hollywood. It felt a little Netflix to me to have everything be like, all right, and it seems like basically everything's going the right way.
I just think that there's a cloud over it. I think that there's a cloud that hangs over this. Even if things are improving, this is there's a heaviness to making this film, not only in its subject matter, but in what it means for Gustav. It's probably his last movie. He says as much to his producer. Peter is here, sure, but will he ever shoot another movie like this or a movie ever again? Period. I mean, even the relationship with Eric, I particularly think, is not necessarily something that is singularly positive, because there's the great moment when Agnes confronts Gustav and talks about how she's hesitant for Eric to play that role because in her life it was the greatest thing ever to be in that movie with him at the time. But then he disappeared. And so I think the power for me of the ending is that it is neat, but only to a point, because the one thing we have reaffirmed about Gustav over and over again is that Gustav is one man as an artist and another man as a father. And for any compromises we talk about Gustav making, the affirmation that he gets from his producer is to do it his way, and
Yeah, of
his
course.
way isn't, and it ended up being quite unkind to the family. So I think that if anything, it's left with this note for me of optimism, but it's not a closed book that things are suddenly all fine.
So I hope I didn't portray that I thought it was that.
No, I think what I took
Yeah.
from what you said was that it was we put a big nice bow tie on it and it makes us feel good, but you're right that I mean I'm weepy-eyed in the movie in the middle of this one. Like it's sad when we're in these scenes with Nora and Agnes and they're they're talking about suicide, they're talking about family struggles, and I mean this is just like really deep stuff. So I get where you're coming from with the I think I'm more on Abrams' side that like, yes, we're going in a good direction. We maybe aren't all the way there. I think it's up to each of our interpretations, though. I mean, I think the film is pretty clear in that it tells us many times it's not gonna tell us how it is,
Sure.
and we gotta think a little bit for ourselves.
I think it's the only way that the movie could have gone ultimately. Like, it's the logic. Otherwise, there's no change to the.
Otherwise,
status
it would have
quo.
won the Palme d'Or. It would have won the Palme d'Or too, because it would have been so freaking sad.
If he like died or they were estranged at the end of the movie, you're like, okay, well then what?
Why do we watch
loop.
this?
Yeah, exactly. And B, was there a B? B again. My thing about the old dog new tricks thing is that like it is kind of sad. There is an implicit sadness to like you have to make compromises to these old guys who refuse to change. Like that is depressing. That is the case, and like that never gets resolved in Stellan because he's too set in his ways to do that, and the best he can do is try to fold the two halves of his life together, the filmmaker and the father. And he's like, boom, this is how I do it. And it works, right? Like, this is fine.
He's got his master plan, basically. When he walks into the movie, he's got the plan. It doesn't go to exactly to shape, but then
it ultimately only feels fine coming out of like, it feels like Nora has grown a lot more, and Agnes as well. I feel like they have grown a lot more than Stellan has in this movie.
Yes.
Like they
we may.
Yeah, talk about them.
Talk about Nora and Agnes a little bit.
Absolutely.
Two very important characters in this movie. I'm going to put my hat in the ring and be like, Renate Reinsve is the best actress performance in this movie. I'm sold from the moment she's on the screen. I mean, when we're in this a scene, it always gets me. I don't know. I think it's because I have the same stage fright or something. But theater scenes where it's all going to shit.
You're always quaking right before a quest.
What am I gonna say?
He's running around. Don't even ask us how we get that stage, that costume tape on him. That's real tough to do.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. So that scene is electric.
The slap
right?
is oh so easy though.
Tucker knows. And so then I'm immediately thrown in like, okay, we got a character who's complicated. We got someone who's complicated because she loves to act. You don't get to be in the National Theater without loving to act, but boy, does this look like torture right now. Okay, that's where our stage is set from, and then we just build from there. And I think it's that she doesn't have to say a whole lot, and the facial performance is just like incredibly strong. I mean, it's to go toe to toe with Stellan Skarsgård in that regard is this is a championship fight. But I just think she really pulls it off. She was in Worst Person in the World, right? She's the lead in that one
character.
Too.
Yes.
She is.
Yeah, and I would argue she's the main character of this one too.
This is.
I think that's why I say argue, because it could be left up to interpretation.
This is an Oscar category tangent that I have to go down, but like ultimately, it is a co-lead film. It is Nora and Gustav are the lead actors, which is why it's a little bullshit that Stellan's in the supporting actor category. He is the lead. He is a co-lead of this movie. He has like 4 minutes less screen time. I'm not exactly a screen time clock watcher, but like he has very comparable screen time. Anyway, sorry, team.
It's just like, we're talking about the difference in this monologue between Elle Fanning and, we talked about how she doesn't quite read the lines right. And then we come around and we see Nora do it. And it's just like, yeah, I mean, I'm completely buying the double layered performance. We got Reinsve playing Borg, playing herself, and so anytime you got an actor doing that, I can't even imagine what kind of headspace you have to be in to find that performance. But it was that ending moment really, really powerful. All these moments throughout, the. I like the scene with the line where Skarsgård's like, everybody's mad at dad, everybody's mad at papa.
Dude, again, that's the kind of like boomer dad stuff that I love so much about Stellan's performance. But her too.
It's the two daughters who are like driving that scene forward in there. Skarsgård is on the back foot as a performer, and the other ones are like, they get their moment to dig into him, to say their piece. They've had some bourbon or whatever, and in vino veritas, we understand.
It's more Nora, though, I feel, in that sequence. I mean, Agnes is always kind of the mediator who,
but she gets her say too in this one.
That's true, especially when she refuses, or when she says that she doesn't want Eric, Eric, her son, to be in the movie. Well, especially in that sequence, I think it's more Nora and Reinsve who has that feeling that I've certainly had, where like it's this anger that is bubbling under, and you're just like, this fucking, you're not listening to me. You're not listening to me, and everything you say about, just obfuscating the point and deflecting my point is just making me more angry that you're not listening to me. And you can see that like broiling within her. And
then there's the in-law to cut away to a reaction shot every time that we need a good reaction shot. Like, boom, in-law is freaked out by this family drama. I mean, great filmmaking right there.
I love the way that this scene is edited, because it makes space for a like really relatable moment of Nora is really putting the screws to Gustav. She's making the remark about how like you wouldn't marry an actress, but you'd fuck a bunch of them, and she'd be like, they're really reaching across the coffee table.
They feel like things that she has said in her mind a million times about her father.
But then there's the moment when she's talking about his absence as a father, and we turn the camera to Agnes, and Agnes says that you're exaggerating.
Yeah.
And there's this quickly edited moment when the sisters look into each other's eyes, and there's like this note that Nora has of like almost betrayal in that moment, of like the one person that I know agrees with me.
We went through that together.
In that moment.
Yeah. We went through this trauma together, and here you are, trying to smooth things over.
And I think seeding that moment, to me, as brief as it is what gives me this like catharsis when Agnes does say her piece about Eric's involvement in the film later on, because we've seen that her role as mediator, her role as the daughter that is trying to bridge the divide, she can only play that role for so long before she has to have this moment. And so I think that the way that, like to me, there's this real subtlety to Agnes, to the weight on her shoulders, that I think is beautifully performed.
I think it's fascinating. Well, go ahead, Tucker.
Just a comment on Nora and Renate Reinsve's performance. I think what intrigues me so much about her as a performer is that she has such impossibly dark irises that her eyes almost look like they're black, and so it gives her this really
she has a very dark presence on the frame, and it's very dark compared to Inga Ibsdottir Lilius's performance, because she
blue eyes.
Who has blue eyes, but they both have dark hair, which is I mean, we think about our
how'd that happen?
They live in Scandinavia. Aren't they supposed to look like me?
Need to build out
the alleles.
Yeah, we need to build ourselves a Punnett
make the little box.
Yeah.
Yes. I must compare them to peas in my mind.
Yes.
But
average Academy voter.
What?
I don't know.
With her incredibly dark eyes, her performance for me comes not from the eyes, but from the way she positions her eyebrows and her mouth. She gets these really fascinating moments where her like eyebrows are as high as they can be. She doesn't look like she's like scared or something, but she's like intently staring at things, and she like looks like she's far away, but you can see like the emotions crashing over her, because she has these moments where she's like, she has these stage fright moments within her family life as well, not only for performance, but for when her father's come home, she doesn't want to interact with him, or when she realizes that her father is there at the wake, and she just gets this like far away look in her eyes, and you're like, you really see this frustration, and like also still trying to like rein that back on her face, because she also has been raised by a man who is not particularly emotional and certainly not very emotionally intelligent. I think that she has retained some of that. I think that she's not obviously good at speaking her emotions and understanding the emotions of others. She's also incredibly hard-headed. And so seeing this like all portrayed on her face in these moments that are not, there's not a lot of lines in these moments that I'm talking about. This is mostly her like being quiet and saying a lot with her performance. But again, for me, it's in the eyebrows and the mouth that makes her such a compelling presence.
Sure, I certainly agree. I think she just has a great handle on this character and like what the core issue of the character is, to at least in my interpretation, is rejection. Like, she has been rejected by her father at every turn. I mean, that is kind of the core thing about the whole conflict between the family, is that he love bombs, i.e. puts you in his movie, and then he will disappear. He takes that away. And it's taken away so easily, and he doesn't necessarily see what's wrong with that, but it's obviously very impactful to his two daughters. And she views that rejection that she has experienced, especially as an actress for, in her professional career. He won't come to see her. He won't come to see her perform. Like, what the fuck? Like, and it's because he hates the theater or whatever. Like, she and that may very well be true about him, but he should, grow up. He's an adult man, and go to see his daughter's stage performances that she is very acclaimed and famous for, to the point where like she has now convinced herself, perhaps, and convinced him that like, I don't want you there anymore. Like, if you're just gonna come to like try to appease me at this point, I don't want you there. When in fact she does. Like, deep down, she probably does. It's kind of it feels like kind of the core of the whole stage fright thing that she has going on is this rejection. And the reason she falls back into that really deep depression that Agnes has to pull her out of at the very end of the movie is because she thinks that she is getting to a good spot with Gustav, and that he might come to this performance that sort of happens at the third act
double
turn of
whammy
the film. And then he doesn't. And then she's like, I don't know what to do with myself anymore. Like, there's no
she's
one
rejected
want
romantically.
me. Yeah, of
before
course.
that
And then
too.
there's Jacob, who is the another common Joachim Trier collaborator, and Anders Danielson Lee. He kind of treats him and Renate Reinsve as like Barbie and Ken, that he likes to make smooch because he's also the romantic interest in Worst Person in the World as well. But yeah, there's that where like he is getting a divorce, and they are dating, it seems. At least they are sleeping together regularly. And he won't tell her that he is getting a divorce because he doesn't want a committed relationship with her. It is just a mounting and mounting rejection in her life.
It's interesting. So I think it's actually slightly different because she makes a mention after they've hooked up that it's easy for her because he is married. And so I think there's a degree to this relationship where, because he's getting too cuddly. She's like, yo, you gotta fucking stop kissing me and doing all these things. And so he's almost hiding it because she doesn't want that connection. She wants to fuck this guy.
But in the woods when they're on the retreat with the cast or whatever, and maybe I'm just misremembering this moment.
No, you're right.
Yeah, there's the moment where she's like, "Hey, can
upset.
we like are we going somewhere with this?" And he's like, "Don't worry, stop talking to me. I don't want to talk to you anymore."
No, that's true, and that comes significantly after the scene I'm mentioning, and so I think you're right though that does indicate this journey that she's going on of opening up a little bit. But I think that part of what makes Nora so interesting as a character is that we don't see her perform. We will see her step out onto stage, and then we will cut and the performance is done.
Yeah, I like
that. And I think that that's a really interesting choice because we have this moment when she's talking to Agnes and she's talking about how she loves being on the stage and what is sort of unlocked in her when she's on the stage. And I think to not see that, to only see the version of Nora who is in some way blocked up is quite powerful.
Yeah. I especially like that we don't see those performances because it keeps us from understanding her as a performer, as a famous person, as an acclaimed person. We really just see her as this frustrated and scared daughter. And because we really only know her life through her dynamic with her father and her sister, and also her nephew. But because I think that there's oftentimes movies about artists, whether that is a great performer, a great composer, a great director, or something like that, where they end up feeling larger than life because, whether it's a biopic, right? You often get like a little bit of inflated ego about the great things this person has done.
Even like Jay Kelly, what you mentioned at the beginning of the video, Tucker, is
100%,
about George Clooney, like almost like a fictional allegory for George Clooney being like, there's people in the world, and they live normal lives. Isn't that fascinating?
Yeah. Yeah. Whereas this movie is about the fact that inside every artist that we respect and that we think is one of the greatest to ever do it in whatever way that means, is also someone who quarrels with their family and has these deep-seated memories of their childhood that fucks them up sometimes and things like that. And because we also really never see Gustav direct, and we read his writing a little bit through the words of our performers, but we never really get a sense of how truly great he is as a director.
Right.
I guess we see that like clip from the older film, but I like the fact that the film keeps the characters humanized by not showing their great art, because I do think that the moment you show Nora, I keep forgetting her name.
Yeah.
The moment you show Nora on stage belting it out, everyone clapping, and a long performance, and she's whatever. I don't even know what's going on in this place, but I think that gives us an extra layer to her character that would maybe push us away from her a little bit and be like, oh well, I'm not as great an actor. I don't think I could do that.
That's
So
interesting.
I can't relate maybe as much.
I like
but in
this
this, it's like especially in her first scene, she's freaking the fuck out, and like honestly, because I never read the description of this movie, I was like, maybe this is her first time. Maybe she's an extra. Maybe she I don't really know what's going on here.
Yeah, I get that.
She got the mic on. She's number one.
Yeah, well, you come to learn obviously that she's the star of the show, and then we cut to people are clapping, but then we're like off to the races with like, your mother's dead and your father's back and here's your sister and nephew and all that. And so we never get this like layer of greatness to her that is present in the text of the character, but it's never present on the screen. I think that helps her maintain relatability throughout, and it keeps you focused on what's ultimately important, which is that inside she's scared and that she's a complicated person that is hard-headed and does have a hard time expressing herself and things like that.
The only trouble with that is I only relate to characters of great success and fame.
Like Jordan Belfort from The Wolf of Wall Street.
Abram, that's why you like Marty Supreme.
Should we talk about...
I see you as, you're kind of the Marty Supreme of my life. You came in and screwed everything up, and I fucking hate you.
Should we talk Agnes, and then we talked Rachel a little bit, but they are the in sort of descending order, the cast list of this movie.
What do you guys make of Agnes's choice to go seek out the Truth and Reconciliation dossier about her mother's about the mother kidnapping? What do you like? Why? Because I have all these thoughts with it.
Grandmother?
The grandmother. About why she went and did that, what it means for her, why it's her character that went and did that.
I think it's a really interesting part of the movie, especially how they sort of close the book on it, almost literally. Is this omniscient narration coming in that is describing what Agnes says to Ivan, her husband, about going to this library? Is that she's like, the narration says she didn't really have anything to add, and I find that really interesting as a take on her seeking out this background, like wanting this history, maybe seeking it out to understand like what happened to her and maybe why she was driven to suicide and how that impacted my father and how that impacted how my father treats us. Like she's trying to trace back this historical line, much like the movie is doing, much like we are doing as an audience. You're trying to find some meaning in it, of course. And what she sees is very upsetting testimony and recreations of the torture methods that her grandmother and a bunch of other, prisoners of war during World War II went through. And she looked at that and she goes home, and the narration tells us that she's like, she didn't really have anything to add. Obviously, it was awful. What she looked at and what she read was awful. And I think that's really, really interesting. That it's just like barefaced, like, yeah, man, like the issues in this family can potentially just be traced back to like this horrible thing that these fascists did to this family, or to the matriarch of this family, decades and decades ago. And it can be that, and it can just be as simple as that. And you have to make it, then like the downstream effects just warp and twist and turn into what they are now. And that's how it is. That's the chronology.
The monster is generational trauma.
Well,
the crack at the basement.
I would argue the monster is Nazis, Tucker, but that's just me.
Huh.
I think
I'll have to think about that.
My whole take from it is pretty similar to yours, Tanner. But the fact that I think what stuck out to me is that Agnes noticed that her mother was one of many in this file.
Yeah,
and that her testimonies were just more testimonies of the many thousands who went through this. And I don't know, who knows how many are in the file specifically. But yeah, I mean, it's we get in flashback, we get this kind of other moment where Gustav, when he gets back the house, he correct me if I'm recalling this wrong, but the way that it's described is that he gets the house back, and in order to get out like the bad influence and all that memory of this kidnapping is why he does the reconstruction.
Sure.
And then but it's because the sister, Karen's sister, that he lives with for a while after Karen has committed suicide, right?
Yes.
Is a party haver, and intent on pissing the neighbors off, because that sister blames the neighbors for the kidnapping. I just thought that as a we're very tied in this social unit as a family, but that moment reminds you that like the social unit in this world is there's another slightly bigger one that exists right outside, because this is one house that the neighbors have also been around, even though they don't really play into the interpersonal drama of the 21st century story. They kind of do on the 20th century version.
Yeah, I keep returning to Tucker's point from the beginning of our conversation about the house itself. And I just think that like the history...
House that Gustav built?
The house with Gustav in its walls.
Whoa! That's so true, actually.
Stop thinking of house movies.
The Yellow Gustav?
Monster. That's a movie where the house is a character.
What was I gonna say now? I like the idea of this as like a ghost of the house, this history of their grandmother, and wanting to learn more about that ghost and understand that part of the history. And something it's not like clicked together in my brain yet, but the idea of like the house as something that our characters are sort of burdened by and belonging to, but then also the house as something that can be cut up and taken with you and moved and recreated elsewhere. Like that shift of being from being sort of burdened by the house to taking ownership of it, over it, to having the power over the house. I don't really know what I make of all of that yet, but I really like
it's like family. I don't know. That's what I take. It's kind of simplistic.
You can cut them up?
Well, you can move your family. You could become estranged and get back together. You could,
House that Jack built.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's what that movie taught me. You can cut people up.
Yeah. I also wanted to talk Rachel Kemp, who we briefly addressed. Elle Fanning, who is amidst all of this as an outsider, who is trying to who is an American, much like we are, trying to come to terms with
finally a relatable character.
Yeah, exactly. Trying to come to terms with and understand like the inner workings of this family, and how it is specifically translated into this script that the patriarch of the film has written. And yeah, she as she comes to understand more, she's like, I probably shouldn't be here. But it's also a little bit of an avenue, a portal for Trier to take some jabs at Hollywood and Netflix and modern day movie making.
Yes.
Let me start with a question. There's a scene where an interviewer asks Rachel an inappropriate question.
Yes.
Now, I feel like I saw people referencing this moment like before the movie came out.
Okay.
Is this based on an exchange with an interviewer?
Or
is this
with
just
Elle
like
Fanning, or just in general?
Yeah. Or like, am I just like out of my mind?
You can point to any number of awkward interviews or what, or like bad questions from
I won't name
interviewers.
names on my specific hate list of interviewers in the industry, but
there is the the most infamous one I know of is when Robert Downey Jr. walked out of that interview of that guy who asked about like, so are you still an addict? Are you still addicted to cocaine or whatever? He's like, what the fuck are you doing? No, I'm not going to do this. If that's the question you're going to ask. But as far as I know,
but the problem is that Elle Fanning's never been in a bad movie.
That's true.
Because she's the goat.
But so, Rachel Kemp has been in it's Captain's Courage or something like that. Is what is the name of the movie?
Like a superhero movie or something?
I don't know.
I think you're getting Captain's Courageous mixed up with something, which is a 1930s Best Picture.
The interviewer definitely asks the name of the movie, and it's Captain's something. Captain's Quarters, maybe. I think that might be it.
It's not.
Anyway, it's a flop movie, and then Stellan gets to call him a TikTok troll. Pretty good.
I think that most of this commentary is like kind of not interesting. If I'm being perfectly honest.
Yeah, it just doesn't serve the.
It doesn't go deep enough. When Tanner said, "Oh boy, this movie's got Netflix jabs in it," I was like, "All right, when are they coming?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, that was a jab at Netflix."
They're like they don't know if they're gonna put it in theater. Like, oh, okay, great. Haha.
My mind is a cinemaless place.
But the Netflix stuff I think is interesting as it's reflective of a time, the current time period. Especially as we see many highly regarded filmmakers making films for Netflix and being willing to make that sacrifice to get their projects completed.
Guillermo.
Well, yes.
Well,
and also yes. But I also think that the film is not as concerned with the actual filmmaking as maybe I expected it to be. Like I think I expected it to maybe shift into a place that was a little bit more about that decision-making process, because I think it's interesting when it's like they're playing with the Netflix might have a say in these kind of things. I'm like, okay, well, there is currently relevant texture there, but they're fleeting moments. I like it as like a little sprinkling of like, oh hey, I haven't seen a movie cover that before, but not much.
It's also not the main focus of the story.
Yeah, I'm just glad that like we have a movie that has elements of making filmmaking in it, but it isn't about that at all. That the filmmaking is simply a vehicle for other plot threads.
Yeah.
Because I think that the trope of Hollywood writes Hollywood all the time. Even though this is a Norwegian movie, needs to be avoided. You shouldn't just be like, well, what should we make a movie about? I don't know. I can't figure out what to make a movie about. That's our movie.
I'd also like to know.
That's film school shit. Like,
I'd also like to live in the world of sentimental value, where A, you're doing a press junket for a movie that has not been filmed yet. They have not entered production on the film yet. And B, that press junket does happen, and the director yells at the interviewer to leave, and then he replaces the main actress who he had cast. Like, that has got to be some juicy drama getting thrown around in the trades, in Variety and Hollywood Reporter in the world of the movie.
Sentimental Values film twit is going crazy.
It is going nuts.
For the next Gustav Borg.
Gustav Borg fucking fired the main actress of his movie. Can you believe that?
It was mutual. They mutually parted ways.
There's Nepo baby.
Nora Borg, Nepo baby.
Yeah. Oh yeah, but no. I as I said earlier, I think Elle Fanning is really good in the movie and has to walk a very fine line. I've never seen an actress walk before, which is again this thing of like, she's not a bad actress. She is reading these lines and she is imbuing them with emotion, and she is really committed to tapping into the core of what is going on, the inner machinations of Gustav as the auteur of this story. But she just isn't right for the part, and like you can see that she is getting frustrated with herself initially for not fitting into not fitting into this work. And it's sort of heartening a little bit to see her realize that like I was never gonna fit into this. Like you have things going on, and I'm just getting in the way of that ultimately. Like I was a detour. I was a way around things, and I can't be that.
It's a major red flag that you will not answer questions about yourself to me that are clearly directly relating to the script we are trying to film. Like this is, if I am in her position and old Gustav is like being all deflective about the deeper meaning of the script, like I'm getting out of there, man. The director doesn't know what they're talking about when they, it's just like that's a little meta.
And I think it's an interesting thing where that dynamic then gives us a little bit more of a look into a professional relationship, especially compared to the relationship he has with his daughters, where she does realize that, like, yeah, he's a very talented guy, and she really wants to work with him, but he's not like the pure best director ever. Like, he is flawed. This is not right. Like, I like that she kind of stands up to him in those moments a tad. But the moment of her reading out the line, I think is really fascinating because she's pretty sparingly used actually in this movie in a way that I was actually surprised by. But
I thought verging on a little underserved actually. Like she could have had more use in the film.
Yeah, because I think she's a very interesting character, and the reason I found that scene in particular so interesting is because I kept thinking to myself, we're introduced to her. She's crying about the how much this movie's impacted her. She's very fun to talk to. She's fun to spend time with. She's like interested in this, but I am never aware especially in the early section of the movie, if she's actually a good actress, or if she's just popular and he's casting her because she wanted to work with him and it's an easy kind of in to like get the movie made because she's a big name because we see like how popular she is. And that seems really interesting because it starts off and I'm like, is she bad actually? Like, because we get this weird look on Gustav's face. Like, is he sold on this? I think her line reading as that scene is starting, she's continually looking down at the page. I'm like, maybe she's not really, like, maybe she's not all that, which I never thought I would say about Elle Fanning. But then she does actually start to buy into it over the course of that reading. And she gives actually, I think, a pretty solid performance in some of these moments as she's like crying and looking over at the woman that's supposed to be her mother, I guess, in the world of the film or whatever. And I'm like, no, okay, she is talented. And Tanner, to your point of that she's a good actress, but she's not right for this part. That scene ebbs and flows between
it does.
Is she good? Oh no, okay, no, she does got it. But oh man, like okay, this is her first line reading. There's a lot of complexity going on there. But it was interesting to have this sort of revealed to me in a moment where I didn't know if she was actually good or if she was just kind of like a phony. Because there's plenty of actors who are popular who aren't particularly good actors. Like they just got a lucky break or whatever.
Name one that's
enough champagne to feel denial.
Name one that's in a major sci-fi film that's getting released this Friday. Name one.
Whoa.
For timestamp.
Rebecca Ferguson?
Yeah, no, Tucker. I'm talking about Christopher Pratt.
Crisp Rat.
Crisp Rat. Chris Mercy.
That's me
Pratt
eating this.
That's the rat after he stepped on the subway track.
Crispy.
Apparently that's a pro AI movie.
I'll be interested.
I don't know. We haven't seen it yet. One way to find out.
I'll be interested to see. Well, the director has been pro AI and apparently wanted to make this movie with AI. And Amazon.
Tanner?
Yes.
Separate the art from the artist.
Sorry.
Separate the quest from the other movie shows.
I have to separate the pro AI director from the movie that he made that is pro AI. Sorry, my mistake.
You know what is not artificial
That's
intelligence?
The artist.
The Google Sheets that we use to tabulate the scores on. I mean, maybe it is though. It's Google Sheets.
I mean, maybe it is now.
As we pull up the sheet, I want to know.
Litigate the final points.
Two, they're not relevant. They're just funny things. So we can be pulling up the sheet. You don't got to lock in for this. One, I laughed really hard when Gustav gives Eric a copy of Irreversible on DVD for his birthday.
No,
One of
I
the
laughed
funniest
so much
things that
when he gives him the
happens in
piano
movies.
teacher and tells
Yeah.
him that it'll teach him
Yeah.
about
This
women
one.
and marriage.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes,
Right.
that's excellent. And then the psychotic fucking way he uses the paper towel.
Yes.
The
Oh my
paper
God, the
towels is
second-
Oh
incredible.
my god!
Would you guys
Wetting the
believe it?
whole roll.
Would you guys believe it if I told you that it's not the only time in 2025 film where a character uses an entire roll of paper towels to clean up a mess?
Really?
Let's
Of
Just
course,
Henry.
Bradley Cooper's character, it is this thing on Balls. Yes, his character's name is Balls. Uses
yeah.
an entire roll of paper towels to clean up spilled soy milk.
But you also got to understand, before he does that, he walks in the door and then falls onto the carpet with the
Flat
soy
on
milk
it.
under him.
Yes.
And it explodes like there's a pool of soy milk, like he just got a gunshot wound to the back through
like
his
he's
chest.
like he's an android in an alien film.
That movie is so incoherent.
Pretty weird flick, if you ask me. All right, hang on.
Yeah.
Do this.
Well, let's punch some scores and maybe that one will get nominated. We'll see. We'll see.
I don't know about that.
I didn't go see it, so I don't know.
These last two movies have been nominated for Best Picture.
That's true. They have.
So why would this?
That's true. Alrighty, we looks like we got some scores. You guys ready to punch it in?
Yes. Yes.
3, 2, 1, go.
Ow! See, I punched it.
Oh, punch. Ow. Ow, my nose. There we go.
Ow.
Wow, that's a lot of decimal points. We've got to remove some of them. We've got a score. It is 8.8. That is going to send sentimental value. Sentimental value. Not there's not like 4 L's in that word.
I didn't want to say
like
it. I didn't want to make fun of you, but because you just drew it out a little bit, Timo, I smirked myself every single time you've said sentimental value.
Sentimental value. The mental value of this movie is 8.8, and that's going to put it at spot number 2 on our list of 2026 Best Picture nominees. So there you have it. Point breakdown real quick. I gave 8.2, Tucker gave 8.5, Tanner gave a 9, and then Abram gave a 9.4. So we use we ask Google GPT, and that gives us 8.8.
Timo, how do you say 2 in Swedish or Norwegian, whichever you might please?
I don't know. I know what it is in German.
Okay, well, yeah, that's it. Yeah.
I know what it is in
not
Portuguese
what
and
I asked.
Spanish. No, it isn't what you asked. I'm not going to say it because I don't know what it is. I can't remember.
All right, fair enough.
Jeg vil have en stort glas øl. That's my only Norwegian that I know.
Okay.
And you know what that means?
No.
I think you do.
Give me a beer.
And a large one at that.
Are you serious? God damn it!
A large beer. Well.
You know, that's
Okay.
all I know. So, yep.
Exciting times.
That was not me like basing it off of like, oh, that's kind of what it sounds like. I'm like, oh no, I just happen to know Timo Nelson.
There's
Yeah.
one phrase I'm seeking out to learn in a language. It might as well be that.
Sure.
Because first you learn that and then you learn where's the bathroom. That's just how nature works, right?
What's the order of? Yes, that's the order of operations.
What's-
when you're
What's the
ordering
best
a
meal
beer.
for a hangover?
Yeah.
It's number 3.
Tanner, what are we
Yes.
going to talk about next time after the old nominations have come out and we will be
Yes.
vindicated in our 100% accuracy with
God,
this
and
guessing game we've been playing?
In a short 13-ish hours, we'll know. But we're going to take a gamble here. We're going to go with a film that is still not on VOD and is still in theaters, and that is going to be the presumably nominated. So this could change if it doesn't happen. So bear that in mind. Yeah, I'm sure Timo will sweep in if I'm wrong.
I'll make
know,
some little changes.
Sweep in right here if I am wrong, and we will be doing The Secret Agent, what we will plan on doing next, right now.
The Secret Agent pending approval by the Academy of Motion Pictures, Arts and Sciences. We will talk about it next time. So Abram and I are going to go see that together in the city. We're going to have fun. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So we just, I think, does this mark halfway through? We got 5 movies on the list. There's 5 more to go.
Right? We did half the movies before the nominations, or well, not half the movies, but almost half the
Yeah,
movies before the
almost
nominations
half.
were even released.
Almost. Yeah,
this is,
so...
We're not going to be taken surprised by the Brazilian film this time around. We're doing it before the nominations. We're announcing we're
Yes.
doing it before the nominations even come out.
We love Brazilian movies.
Oh, I forgot what all those got nominated.
Yeah, last
Yeah,
year
it was
I'm
good
still here.
too. It was good.
Awesome movie.
Dare I say,
Ooh,
Secret Agent, having seen it, better than I'm Still Here.
really.
It is-
I would,
there's-
thinking about what's going on in the world here today, right now, I'm still here was rather sagacious. It kind of portended quite quite the feeling we have today.
The Secret Agent is about that very same time period and covering some of the same topics, but in a more stylistically interesting way. It's Kleber Mendoza Filho is the director of this film. Tucker, you and I have seen one of his films before. He's the director of Bacurau. Do you remember watching Bacurau?
Oh yeah, I didn't like that one.
Well,
is that about the Chinese gambling game or no?
No, it is not. It is not. But no, I think
about Baccarat?
This is a really interesting film.
Eben Moss, Baccarat.
Yes, very true.
Alrighty.
Okay.
We're waffling on here in an extreme degree. Let's get out of here. I gotta go. I gotta go do some other things this evening. So
yeah, those waffles are getting grilled up. We gotta get out of here.
Well, there's a Lego BD1 in sentimental value. I just want to show.
There is. Yeah, I saw that in the background. Shout out to BD1 for being canon.
There's also one right here.
Oh, there's one right there.
What does that imply? Eben, do you think that does it imply that Eric's father has played Jedi Fallen Order?
I think it implies that Eric plays Jedi Fallen Order. Yeah,
but that's no. His mom's too like.
This is always the thing, though. Is this spins out into Star Wars exists, especially like modern Star Wars media exists, i.e.
Stellan Skarsgård exists in Star Wars.
Exists and is Stellan Skarsgård
is
true.
Andor.
It's true.
Opine in the comments.
Jedi Fallen Order, Saw Gerrera.
Maybe there's a sliding doors thing here where it's not Werner Herzog who's in the Mandalorian.
It's Gustav Borg.
It's Gustav Borg. I want to see the baby.
And then it's
I will leave when it is 14.
Yes.
Who's an Andor?
My mind is a shunless place.
Okay. The Secret Agent next time. Stick around here on the channel. All your Oscars content's coming up where you know where to find it right here. So we'll keep on holding the fort down. And you know what I say? Stay cool, keep warm. Peace.